What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. What's cracking, y'all? How's everybody doing today? I found this video, Basketball Network. Phil Jackson's opinion on who's better between Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. If you've been a member here, you know what I think, or you probably know what my answer is going to be. But I'll watch the video first and see what happens. I'm curious as to what Phil's going to say. But if I had to take a guess, knowing Phil Jackson, his philosophies, how he views the game, how he likes the game to be played, I could see Phil Jackson rolling with Bird over Magic Johnson because Phil Jackson isn't a point guard guy. He's a triangle guy. You don't need a point guard like Magic Johnson in the triangle. It's one reason why when he got a hold of Gary Payton, which was really the first time Phil had a point guard like that, Gary Payton wasn't happy with his roles and responsibilities. So Bird would be a better fit in a triangle offense than Magic Johnson would, I believe. But I'll start getting in. I'll come back to that. Let's see what Phil has to say.
Bird winds up three-pointer. Yes.
Buckner loses to Magic. Magic for a slam dunk. 15 world titles
and 4 championships. And Magic Johnson, an MVP, unanimous choice.
Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, two names that forever linked in basketball history. Their rivalry started in college and carried into the NBA, where they dominated the league throughout the 1980s. Magic's Lakers and Bird's Celtics combined to win 8 of the 10 championships during that decade, and they met 3 times in the NBA Finals, creating some of the most iconic moments in sports history. But when it comes to picking between the two, everyone has their own opinion. Phil Jackson, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history, weighed in on the debate, and his choice, well, it was Larry Bird. Phil Jackson once said, and I quote, "Magic had a post-up game, but Larry had a good post-up game too. Larry was an outside shooter, a step-back shooter. He had a great shot. And I think I'll probably go with Larry. He'd probably be the better one." Now, that's quite the endorsement from a coach who's seen and coached the best of the best. But why did Jackson favor Bird over Magic? Let's dive into the numbers and skills that set these two apart. Let's start with their playing styles. Magic Johnson was a point guard known for his incredible passing and court vision. He averaged 11.2 assists per game over his career, which is nothing short of phenomenal. Magic was also an efficient shooter from the field, connecting on 52% for his career. On the other hand, Larry Bird was a small forward, but he was so much more than that. Bird was a supreme rebounder, averaging 10 boards per game, and he was also an incredible scorer, putting up 24.3 points per game throughout his career. But here's where Bird really stands out. It's his shooting. Bird made 37% of his three-point attempts, while Magic only hit 30.3%. Bird's ability to shoot from the outside, including his signature step-back jumper, gave him that edge that Magic couldn't match. Offensively, Bird's versatility was unmatched. He wasn't just a scorer, he was a shooter as well. Bird made twice as many three-pointers as Magic did for their careers, and with a better accuracy. While Magic was slightly more efficient overall, Bird's outside shooting, particularly from three-point range, added a dimension to his game that made him a constant threat from anywhere on the court. Now, despite these stats, Larry Bird himself was always quick to give Magic the edge, especially when it came to championships. Magic won 5 titles compared to Bird's 3, and their head-to-head matchups also tilted in Magic's favor. In a 2012 interview on The Late Night with David Letterman, Bird said, and I quote, "I've always said that I go by success, and he's won more championships, so I give him the nod." Even Magic acknowledged that Bird could do more on the court, particularly because of his superior shooting. This mutual respect between the two game's greatest ever players just shows how close this debate really is. But for Phil Jackson, it's Bird's ability to do everything on the floor, especially the shooting, that made him the better player. In a league where outside shooting is now more valued than ever, it's interesting to see that Jackson recognized this skill in Bird decades ago. So who's better, Magic Johnson or Larry Bird? It's a debate that will never have a definitive answer, and what makes it so fun to talk about is everyone will have their own choice. Whether you side with Magic's playmaking brilliance or Bird's all-round shooting and rebounding prowess, you really can't go wrong. But if you ask Phil Jackson, he'll tell you that he's rolling with Larry Legend. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with Phil Jackson, or do you think that Magic takes the crown? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more upcoming videos and NBA content. My name is Damian Peters. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Yeah, pretty much like I said, because I had stopped myself because I didn't want to drag on too long in the opening remarks, but he pretty much said a lot of stuff I was going to say before I cut myself off, before the reaction to the video. I mean, yeah. I personally, for those that don't know, I personally think Larry Bird's the better basketball player. Championships are part of it, but championships aren't everything. Sometimes championships can be circumstantial. So, you know, I try to look at all the context and come to the best conclusion. But either way, I have Larry Bird number 3 all time. I have Magic Johnson number 6 behind Kareem at 5. That's me. But listen, these two are both all-time greats. These two revitalized the league, saved the league, resuscitated the league, helped push the league forward. Both of those guys are on the NBA Mount Rushmore to me, not only for their skill set, but because of their impact and the foundation that they serve under the league history. You know what I mean? These are cornerstones. These are pillars. Players that were pillars to like the NBA Coliseum, man. They're incredible. But yeah, I think Bird's a better basketball player. He can do more. He's more versatile. You know, and I expected Phil Jackson, like I said, to pick Larry Bird for those reasons and the fact that he doesn't need a point guard. But Larry Bird was an exceptional passer. I mean, many people have Larry Bird as a top 3 passer of all time. That's how amazing of a passer Larry Bird was. But he wasn't like the point forward, right, like you'd see from a Magic Johnson or from a LeBron James. Now, I'm not comparing Magic to LeBron. I think Magic's a far superior passer than LeBron James and doesn't hold the ball like a LeBron does. So I'm not making necessarily a direct comparison between the two, but just using it as an X factor, if you will. But yeah, Larry didn't hold the ball as much as any of those two guys. And the guy was still racking up assists. Like, you know, if he had a higher usage rate, maybe usage rate isn't necessarily the right term, but if he held the ball as long as those other guys actually played that point guard position, you could expect Larry's assist numbers to go up. But that's not how he played the game, and that's not how the Boston Celtics played the game. That's not how they ran their offensive schemes. But Larry Bird was just one of those guys that always made the right decision. He didn't give a damn if he was shooting the shot. He just made the right basketball play, whatever that play was going to be. All right, and like he said, yeah, Bird was the better shooter on all areas of the floor. Better finisher, all areas of the floor. That was Larry Bird. So when you think about that triangle offense dynamic under Phil Jackson, Larry Bird can do a lot more things. Whether Larry's the focal point or whether they have a dominant center like Shaquille O'Neal where you want to run the offense through him and the triangle. Not saying that Shaq's better than Larry. No, I'm not saying that. He's not. But in a triangle offense, you obviously run it through Shaq because of the impact he has in that system, given his size and abilities and his ability to always suck the paint in and there be shooters spaced around. Now you got Larry Bird out there on the wing or out there on the three-point line drilling buckets, you know what I mean? Or putting the ball in a Shaq for easy buckets with the exceptional passer that he is. Things like that. Also, one thing I don't think he mentioned, but Larry Bird was by far and away the better defensive player. And that's the other thing. When it comes to me and tipping the scale between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, it's obviously Larry's shooting ability, his scoring ability, and his defense that really sets him apart from Magic Johnson. It really does. I mean, you could look at Larry's rebounding being superior, and you can look at Magic's assists being superior, and you can say, okay, we'll call those a wash. Everything else, well, let's look at it. Larry Bird got defense. Larry Bird is unquestionably the better scorer, the better shooter. Give a damn about the percentages. And see, that's why I tell people, they just look at percentages. People will sit here and tell you that Magic Johnson was a superior scorer because he shot the ball at 50%. Larry Bird was like, what, 49.6, 49%? I don't give a damn if Larry Bird shot at 47%. You could watch the game and see that Larry Bird was a better scorer and a better shooter than Magic Johnson. Percentages be damned. So yeah, that's the tipping point for me with Bird and Magic. Bird, a super underrated defensive player. Super underrated. He played in an era where there were many savvy defensive players at his position. And he still managed to make what? I want to say 3 All-NBA second defensive teams. Don't quote me on that. I think 3. If not, it was 2. Memory's a little foggy. And that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Especially considering the offensive load he carried, as well as being that other guy on defense too. And I have to take that into consideration. Like, this is your output on offense, but you're also expending that much more energy on the defensive end, as opposed to somebody else that doesn't put forth that kind of effort, and their energy conservation is all allocated to being utilized on the offensive end. I have to put that out there. That I look at that. That's why I look at people like to say, oh, James Harden, that one big offensive season he had. It's like, oh, that was a better offensive season, or that was a better season than Kobe Bryant. I was like, what? First of all, Kobe played in a slower pace back then when Kobe averaged at 35, 36. Better defenses. And Kobe actually played elite level defense while giving you those kind of buckets. And he wasn't in a Mike D'Antoni offense. He did that in a triangle. So yeah, no comparison. But they just look at the numbers at face value, and I'm like, kick rocks, man. You gotta take these things into consideration. But yeah, it's Larry Bird. It's Larry Bird. My humble opinion. I know my channel here we have Larry Bird is our largest fan base by far and away, and we do have some Magic Johnson people in there that I've seen comments where they pick Johnson over Bird, and I won't argue with you because that's how great Magic was. For some people, it's a preference. I like his style better, but I do like Larry's style better. But also, me taking bias out of it, I think Larry was the better basketball player. And there was a point in time where I thought Magic was the better player, and then I started doing more research on Bird, and outside of the little bit that I did know, which is probably more than most people outside Larry Bird fans, to be honest with you. But as my knowledge base grew for Bird, I was like, nah, I think I got to put Bird ahead of the Magic Man. And that is where I stand. Anywho, folks, you guys let me know what you think about it. I appreciate each and every one of you for stepping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, let me know in the comment section. You can check out our Larry Bird and Magic Johnson playlist. Shout out to Phil Jackson, my favorite coach of all time. And Larry Bird, the greatest small forward of all time. And Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard of all time. I stand on that belief. We out, baby.